Welcome back to the deep dive. We're always trying to unearth those really intriguing ideas.
Get right to the core insights.
Exactly. And today we're tackling um, a big one, a really fascinating and, let's be honest, often misunderstood topic. The timeless, almost alchemical art of seduction.
Hmm.
Now, before you jump to conclusions, this deep dive isn't really about, traditional romance in the usual sense.
Right. Or manipulation, even.
Yeah, not exactly. We're exploring the deep seeker psychology, how certain people just master capturing attention, stirring desire, and, well, influencing others,
Yep.
often without anyone quite realizing how it's happening.
And it's a really crucial distinction, isn't it? Our exploration today, it's less about morality, judging it. It's
Right.
far more about dissecting the deep-seated mechanisms, human psychology, persuasion itself. We're basically distilling these insights from a pretty comprehensive source.
To give you a clear picture of how these forces operate, yeah, under the surface.
Mm.
And that primary source for this deep dive, it's excerpts from Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction.
A controversial book for some, but definitely detailed.
Oh, absolutely. It meticulously unpacks these historical psychological patterns of influence, shows how people throughout time have, well, mastered drawing others in. So our mission today is really to crack open that playbook.
Uncover the core mechanics.
Yeah, of charm, persuasion, how resistance is subtly overcome. It's going to offer you, hopefully, a unique lens to view human interaction and influence, whether that's, personal stuff, leadership, even marketing.
All sorts of areas.
Okay, so let's unpack this right away. What exactly is seduction in this kind of rich historical context Greene presents? It's clearly not just romantic conquest.
No, not at all. It's described almost like an art of war for delicate times.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, a subtle way to arm yourself with weapons of persuasion and charm. The idea is that others slowly lose their ability to resist without knowing how or why.
And it highlights something interesting too, right? That intoxicating power of having someone genuinely drawn to you, how that boosts your confidence.
And makes you, ironically, more seductive. It's a feedback loop.
A deep psychological game.
Precisely. And what's really striking is how consistently this art, this technique, has shown up throughout history. It's not new.
So ancient examples.
Oh, yeah. Think of the Latin poet Ovid in The Art of Love. Centuries ago, he was stating, technique is the secret. Charioteer, sailor, oarsman all need it. Technique can control love himself.
So skill over just raw emotion.
Exactly. Or Homer's sirens, their sweet tones filled Odysseus's heart with such a longing to listen, that pull.
And Cleopatra, she comes up a lot.
Always. Her irresistible presence, this peculiar force of character, her voice even described like an instrument of many strings.
It's always about a deliberate cultivation of allure then, almost strategic.
That seems to be the common thread.
So from myths to queens, this calculated influence was always there. But how did it, evolve? Did it change?
Well, there was a pretty significant shift apparently around the 17th century. Before then, these methods were often seen as, well, feminine tactics. But then men, inspired by the whole Don Juan legend starting to emerge, they began to adopt them. They learned to, dazzle with appearance, often described as somewhat androgynous.
Playing with expectations.
Right. And stimulating imagination. They even started playing the coquette, which was traditionally a female role, but they added something new too.
When?
Seductive language. Mastering what was called a woman's weakness for soft words. That became a more masculine tool.
But it wasn't strictly gendered then.
No, that's the interesting part. These forms often blurred those lines. You had Casanova using dazzling clothes, very visual, while someone like Ninon de L'Enclos captivated primarily with her words, her intellect.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for you, listening in. Let's look at some of the distinct archetypes of seducers documented in these sources. What makes them so powerful?
Right, the different types.
First up, probably the most iconic, the siren.
Ah, yes.
And it's not just beauty, is it? They dazzle with adornment, the surface, they appear slightly elusive and distant, a fantasy come to life.
The key there is that selective disclosure, hinting at the sexual, but only revealing a part, something to excite and stir the imagination, not giving it all away.
And the symbol is water.
Yeah. Liquid and enticing, fluid and ungraspable, luring with this promise of infinite adventure, always slightly out of reach.
Could you give us some examples?
Sure. Greene points to Tulia d'Aragona during the Renaissance, consciously modeling herself on Grecian goddesses. Very deliberate image crafting.
And more modern ones.
Well, Marilyn Monroe is often cited. She just gives off sex vibrations no matter what you were doing or thinking. Apparently, she couldn't really downplay her inherent siren qualities, even when trying for serious roles. It was just there.
An aura, almost.
Kind of, but it's not without its dangers, the source warns. That taint of being easy often follows. And sirens can stir up intense envy among other women. Remember Cleopatra being hated in Rome while the Egyptian whore? It's a powerful path, but perilous.
Okay, then we have the rake. What's their deal?
The rake is all about desire. Aglow with desire, possessing an uncontrollable libido. They seem to brave all dangers and obstacles in their pursuit.
Which makes them seem weak. How does that work?
Paradoxically, yes. It makes them seem vulnerable, driven by passion, not calculation, but also incredibly fearless because they'll risk so much.
And there's a political rake, too. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, this is someone who uses words as a subtle poison. It's the form that matters, not the content, making the target focus on how it makes them feel, bypassing reason.
Examples. Who fits the rake mold?
Well, for the ardent romantic type, think of the Duc de Lauzun. Apparently so charming he could talk women into a ménage à trois.
Wow.
Yeah, inspiring women to literally compete for his attention, even fight a pistol duel over him. Extreme stuff.
And the political version.
D'Annunzio, the Italian hero after World War I, he masterfully used his voice, his poetic words, to seduce the masses, crafting slogans, asking these emotionally loaded questions.
Making them feel part of a drama.
Exactly. Igniting emotion, not appealing to intellect.
Okay, next. The ideal lover. This isn't about looks, right?
No, not physical perfection. It's about seducing by appealing to people's higher selves, something they feel they've lost, maybe from childhood. The defining trait is absolute devotion to the target.
So like the medieval troubadour.
That's the classic example, yeah. The knight serving a married lady as a vassal, undertaking dangerous pilgrimages, suffering awful tortures, all to prove love and devotion.
A bit extreme. Any modern parallels?
Well, the source points to John F. Kennedy, how he deliberately created that Camelot aura.
The image.
Exactly. Consciously projecting romance, appealing to America's lost ideals, the pioneer spirit through things like the New Frontier, the Peace Corps.
And people bought into it.
Apparently, people literally fell in love with him. The power is making the target feel seen, idealized, connected to something pure.
Okay, switching gears quite a bit now. The dandy.
Ah, the dandy. A fascinating one.
They play with gender, it says, but without losing their masculine identity. How does that work?
They're subtly feminine, showing attention to appearance, sensitivity, maybe a slight coquettishness, but always with a hint of male cruelty underneath. A bit of an edge.
Described as rare and beautiful flowers.
Yeah, different in striking and aesthetic ways. They often poke fun at trends, seem supremely uninterested in others, very self-contained.
Examples.
Valentino comes to mind. Wore bracelets, dressed impeccably, very enigmatic, apparently served as the model for Elvis Presley in some way.
Really? Elvis?
In terms of that careful construction of image, perhaps. Andy Warhol, too, fits the dandy mold.
How so?
Standing blankly at openings, talking little, critics were baffled and intrigued by the coldness of Warhol's work. That mystery, the aloofness, the subtly transgressive style, it creates allure.
And there were social dandies, too.
Oh, yeah. Like Alcibiades, who supposedly cut off his dog's tail just to give people something to talk about, or the Count Saint-Germain lighting cigars with unused theater tickets, projecting effortless superiority, indifference.
Wild. Okay, moving on. The natural seducer.
This one retains certain childish traits, a kind of spirit. They appear uncanny and marvelous.
And their joy makes their eroticism seem innocent.
Oddly innocent, even slightly comic. Yeah, think Charlie Chaplin.
The little tramp.
Exactly. His almost pathetic naivete made him seem to see the world through the eyes of a child, positioning himself as the helpless infant against bigger actors.
And Josephine Baker.
Her whole body seemed to come alive in her dance sauvage, radiating this joy that made the dance feel oddly innocent despite being provocative. It's that raw, uninhibited, childlike spirit.
But there's a warning here.
Yes, the source wisely notes this quality is much harder for an older person to pull off.
Why is that?
It mentions Cora Pearl in her 50s and the Duke of Buckingham. Their childishness became obnoxious and off-putting as they aged. It needs a certain genuine purity, maybe. Harder to maintain.
Makes sense. Okay, next. The coquette.
Ah, the master of hot and cold.
Knows how to please, not how to love. Alternates heat and cold, gives pleasure, then withdraws it. Uses tears, anger, guilt. Sounds intense.
Very. The coquette is symbolized by the shadow.
Because you can't grasp them.
Exactly. Their power is in that elusiveness, always just out of reach, which just intensifies the chase.
Any famous examples?
Josephine de Beauharnais with Napoleon. She leveraged his desire by postponing its satisfaction, frustrating him.
Which gave him masochistic pleasure.
Apparently so. And Yang Kuai-fei enslaved the Emperor Ming Huang through a similar pattern, kindness than bitterness. Her tears were supposedly very effective.
But there are dangers here too.
Big time. You're playing with volatile emotions. Love can easily shift to hate. And while the dynamic can be addictive, the source says it can begin to prove tiresome over time. Mao Zedong apparently found that with Jiang Qing after 10 years.
Right, there's a shelf life.
Potentially.
Then there's the charmer. How do they operate?
They cast a spell by subtly working on people's ego, vanity, self-esteem. Like Disraeli famously said, talk to a man about himself and he will listen for hours.
So flattery, basically.
Not just crude flattery. It's a light touch, like a beam of light throwing a diffused glow. Never too obvious. Making the other person feel interesting, valued.
Disraeli himself used this.
Oh, yes. He charmed Queen Victoria, pledging his troth to the kindest of mistresses. Made her feel desirable as a woman and gifted as a monarch, focused entirely on her.
Clever. Any other examples?
Zhou Enlai convincing Chiang Kai-shek by appealing to his honor, assuring him no one would execute such a great man. Greene calls it a manipulative weapon that disguises its own manipulativeness.
Because it makes the target feel good about themselves.
Precisely. Opens them up to influence.
Okay, another powerful one. The mythic star.
These aren't just mortals. They're seen as gods and goddesses to be dreamed and fantasized about.
Larger than life.
Exactly. Embodying mythic types, mixing the real and the unreal to haunt thoughts and dreams. They have the halo, that faint glow separating them.
Like who?
Kennedy again. His actions framed in the conventions of Hollywood, posing in visually fascinating ways, speaking of grand mythic themes for TV. Very cinematic.
And Elvis.
Elvis Presley, initially shy, but on stage, in moments of complete self-abandon, he accessed his own unconscious. That allowed him to rouse those desires in the crowd. They become vessels for collective dreams.
Fascinating. And then, the deliverer.
Their power is different. It comes from expressing those dark emotions that have built up over years of oppression.
Giving voice to the voiceless.
Sort of. Providing an opportunity for the release of bottled-up emotions for their audience. But they have to be seen as one of the suffering crowd, only more so.
Like Malcolm X.
A prime example, yes. His personal history was an integral part of his charisma. He provided a bracing effect for those who felt anger but were afraid to show it. He became a living example of personal redemption.
Channeling a collective emotional truth.
Exactly.
And finally, the Olympian.
Also larger than life, but commands attention through calm, radiating self-assurance.
Regal, godlike.
Especially in ceremonial events. They thrive in troubled waters. In crisis, they're the steady hand.
Charles de Gaulle.
Perfect example. Maintained that Olympian composure during the Nazi occupation, the Algerian rebellions. Appearing in his WWII uniform, reminding people of shared accomplishments, declaring, "Je vous ai compris, I have understood you."
Projecting authority, being above the chaos.
Incredibly reassuring, and yes, seductive in a time of need. Okay, so if we connect all these archetypes back, understanding your target is maybe the most fundamental step in this whole art form.
It's not just about what they want consciously.
No, it's more about what they lack. The source talks about victim theory.
Victim theory sounds a bit harsh.
Well, the idea is that nobody in this world feels whole and complete. People fall for someone or are influenced by someone who seems to fill that gap, often unconsciously.
And seducers capitalize on this.
According to Greene, they do not leave such things to chance. They focus on those gaps, the missing pieces in their psyche, because people are constantly giving out signals as to what they lack.
And the key is not to seduce your own type.
Right, because you'll likely have the same missing parts, no gap to fill.
Yeah. So who are some of these victims then? What are their typical gaps?
Well, there's the beauty, described as relatively easy to seduce.
Really? Why?
Because they often lack validation beyond their looks. For their intelligence, skills, character, you validate those and you stand out.
Makes sense. Who else?
The rescuer. They're lured by the chance to act the night, if male, or envelop you in maternal attention if female.
So you play the damsel or the dude in distress.
Sort of. Exaggerate weaknesses, appear to have too little love, maybe even invite moral rescue by seeming a bit naughty. You make them feel needed, powerful.
A fascinating power dynamic shift.
It really is. Then there's the roue, the cynical, world-weary type.
Seen it all, done it all?
Right. But they often hide a repressed sentimentality. They're typically seduced by the young and the innocent because they secretly hanker after their lost youth.
Interesting. And the sensualist.
They're responsive to environment, to senses, but often lack enough sensual experiences to appreciate and relish them fully.
How do you appeal to that?
The example given is Valmont in Dangerous Liaisons. He became obsessed with the Présidente de Tourvel, a prude, precisely because of subtle things. Her simple linen dress, which revealed her figure, her hair, unfashionable in its slight disorder, things that conjured the bedroom without being overt, appealing to latent sensuality.
Okay, so you've identified the target, understood their needs. How do you actually start? What's the first move?
Well, Greene says the first move is simple. Make them come to you.
Don't approach directly.
Not initially. You haunt the periphery of their existence. Let them notice you in different places, but maintain distance. Or befriend them, but keep it slightly reserved. Play cat and mouse.
Why was psychology there?
Avoid crowding your targets or giving a flood of attention. That signals insecurity, neediness. You want to pique their curiosity, make them wonder about you.
Like Johans in The Seducer's Diary.
Exactly. He intrigued Cordelia by acting a little cold, then bam, surprised her with that first romantic letter. He possessed her mind before moving to conquer her body. Mental capture first.
Okay, what other initial techniques?
Insinuation. Described as the most dangerous weapon.
Dangerous. Why?
Because it bypasses people's natural resistance. The ideas seem to come from the target's own mind. Its source gets forgotten.
So you plant seeds.
Precisely, it's the language of pleasure because it's enigmatic, a titillating game of hints, suggestions, like Madame de T in No Tomorrow, planting ideas in the young man's mind so he seemed like the aggressor, whispering possibilities.
Very subtle. And mirroring.
This is key. You enter the target's spirit, subtly adopt their ways, their interests, their mannerisms, their values.
To create a connection.
A profound sense of connection, yeah. Ninon de L'Enclos could impress a philosopher with her intense philosophical keenness, then charm a soldier by seeming to share his interest in politics and warfare. She adapted.
Like Josephine Baker learning French in Paris.
Exactly. Began dressing and acting as a stylish French lady to seduce them for good. Or Disraeli becoming more English in his manners and tastes than many an Englishman, despite his background. Creates shared identity, deep understanding. Okay, so this raises an important question. You've made the initial inroads. How do you keep that spell going, deepen the connection?
Right. How do you maintain momentum?
One powerful technique is to create temptation. You lure the target deep into your seduction by creating the proper temptation. A glimpse of the pleasures to come.
A glimpse, not the whole picture.
Exactly. Find their weakness, that fantasy that has yet to be realized, and just hint that you can lead them there. Keep it vague, tantalizing.
Like Don Juan's promises.
Yeah, promising Arminta polished silver slippers with buttons of the purest gold, beautiful necklaces, rings, evocative of luxury, pleasure, but not explicit, promises a dream.
And this plays on that idea that people want what they can't have.
Precisely. People are perversely excited by what they cannot or should not have. So, built-in barriers, like them being taken or you being unavailable, can actually increase desire by creating inner conflict.
It can even involve psychological taboos.
Apparently so. Playing on a yearning for a mother or father figure, or even a latent homosexual desire, tapping into the forbidden.
Which leads to the next technique. Stirring up the transgressive and taboo.
Right. People secretly yearn to explore their dark side. So making your targets feel that you are leading them past limits, societal or personal, is immensely seductive.
How do you do that? Hint at a dark side.
Could be hinting at a cruel, even sadistic streak. Or just engaging in behavior that gives you a dark and forbidden aura.
Like George Villiers trying to kiss Queen Anne in public. That's pretty bold.
Extremely. Or Errol Flynn, his criminal streak, those rape charges. Despite acquittal, they apparently increased his popularity among women. A hint of danger.
And creating shared secrets helps here too.
Definitely. Those public moments in which the two of you know something that those around you do not. Secret looks, Phrases, like Johanna sending coded messages to Cordelia in public, creates a feeling of a shared secret, even a guilty crime.
That private world idea, incredibly powerful.
It truly is. Next up, a really counterintuitive one. Mixing pleasure with pain.
So not just being nice all the time.
No, the seduction shouldn't be a smooth ride upwards. You need to intentionally create moments of sadness, despair, and anguish to build tension.
Anguish, really?
Yeah. The source even says anger from the target is a sure sign that you have your hooks in them.
Wow. Examples.
Riom driving the Duchess de Berry to tears by making her jealous or pretending jealousy himself, forcing her to change her dress last minute, making her cry, or Don Mateo slapping Conchita, making her realize his pain, which solidified her love.
That seems extreme. Why does it work?
Because pure niceness soon loses all effect. It's boring. Erotic feeling depends on the creation of tension. Keeps them off balance, invested.
Okay, so keeping them on their toes, which relates to strategic withdrawal or absence.
Exactly. Once affection is established, any physical absence will create unease. It creates space, doubt, makes them want to possess you more.
They start chasing you.
Pretty much. Blue Andrea Salome, known for her intense presence, would always seem to have to leave town for a while. During those absences, men fell hopelessly in love with her.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, literally.
It seems so. And Johans, again, after Cordelia's love bloomed, he made his letters a little less romantic, caused her anxiety, made her the pursuer. It flips the script.
Forces them to invest more emotionally.
Right. Another surprising one. Disarm through strategic weakness and vulnerability.
Showing weakness, doesn't that kill attraction?
Not necessarily. The goal is to make the other person feel superior and stronger. It disguises manipulation, gains trust.
How? Like crying.
Could be physical weakness, tears, bashfulness, or flaunting emotions. Even confessing bad deeds can work sometimes.
Like Velmold.
Yeah, positioning himself as the weak one, the seduced, the victim, to win over the president. Or Disraeli, after that disastrous first speech, gains sympathy by continuing, appearing as the victim of a cruel faction, draws out protective instincts.
Okay, and finally, creating the perfect illusion by confusing desire and reality.
This has a few parts. First, wish fulfillment. Creating the illusion that through you, they can live out their dreams, aiming at those secret wishes that have been thwarted or repressed.
Becoming their fantasy.
Embodied, like Gregory Potemkin and the Potemkin villages for Catherine the Great.
The fake villages.
Exactly. Elaborate facades, moving cattle, training peasants, giving her the illusion of prosperity in Crimea. Pure fakery, but it fulfilled her deepest wish to see a thriving empire.
Incredible. What else under illusions?
Theatricality and role-playing. You make it clear you're playing a role, then invite them into the shared fantasy. Create a festival time and place where the real world stops and fantasy takes over.
Like an escape.
Completely. Pauline Bonaparte's seduction of Lieutenant Friedrich, commanding him to a rockery, leading him through a magical series of rooms to a luxurious-looking bath, made the whole thing seem romantic, almost like a fairy tale.
Okay, and then there's the bold move.
Right, the climax. It should come as a pleasant surprise, not when expected. A great release of all that built-up tension, decisive action.
Can women make the bold move?
Absolutely. The coquette might bring the victim to a boil, then signal readiness. Courtesans like Cleopatra, Josephine, La Belle, Otero, they let the man maintain his masculine illusions, but the woman is really the aggressor, a masterful power reversal. Then there's physical seduction. What's key here?
Overwhelming the senses. Returning them to a more natural state where desire feels pure, uninhibited. You have to let go of your own inhibitions. Show a lightness of spirit.
Like Errol Flynn again.
Yeah, he'd intoxicate the victim with pleasure. Words then touch. He had this open, unrestrained attitude that helped women relax into a more natural state. Or Madame de Lursay, overwhelming meal corps with a whole sensory package, revealing gown, tousled hair, heated glances, tears.
And finally, poetic presence absence, making yourself unforgettable, associating your image with something mythic, or providing heightened experiences that just linger in the mind after you're gone.
So, Kennedy is chivalry, Picasso is the Minotaur.
Right. Eva Peron cultivating that saintly Evita image, appearing as the ideal woman in Argentine culture. Lord Byron, with his dark and forbidden aura, even hinting at incestuous involvements, immensely seductive because it was taboo.
Rasputin, too.
Mixing spiritual guidance with suggestive comments, unique. Natalie Barney used poetry, cultural events to ennoble the affair, making it feel artistic, elevated. It's about leaving a lasting, almost mythic impression.
Wow. We've covered an incredible amount on how to seduce based on this source. But what about the flip side? What actively kills attraction? Creates repulsion?
Yeah, that's just as crucial, isn't it? Understanding what not to do. The source identifies several anti-seducers.
Archetypes of failure?
Pretty much. There's the bumbler,
Mm-hmm.
self-conscious, worrying about how they look, no sense of timing, just awkward.
Haven't we?
Haven't we? Then the brute, impatient, champing at the bit for sex, signals it's all about libido, nothing deeper.
Off-putting.
Very. The tightwad, exhibiting miserliness, never attractive. The windbag, talks too much, bores everyone. The complainer, just negativity, bad character.
Draining.
Totally. And the monotone, too monotonous a temperament. Someone predictable who satiates and disgusts. Because, as the source says, uniformity kills love.
So predictability is definitely the enemy.
Absolutely. And beyond these types, there are specific behaviors that destroy seduction.
Like what?
Prolonged inattention. It will not only break the seductive spell, it can create hatred. Claudius's insensitivity to his wife apparently had profound negative effects.
You have to pay attention.
Consistently. Also, argument and harshness without any balance of pleasure is called the most anti-seductive form of language. Creates silent enemies, makes you look ugly and defensive.
And a lack of mystery. Does that hurt?
Crucially, familiarity and overrealness. Familiarity destroys seduction. If targets know too much about you, if they see you as all too human, they can't idealize you, need to hold something back.
Right. And being too nice.
We touched on this. Being too nice soon loses all effect. Remember, erotic feeling depends on the creation of tension. Avoiding conflict just makes you forgettable.
And seducing your own type.
Bad idea. You will be like two puzzles missing the same parts. No chemistry from filling those gaps.
That's a powerful image, yeah.
It is. Also, overwhelming with facts logic makes people feel confused, intellectually inferior, insecure. It's more persuasive to appeal to people's hearts than their heads in this context. Showing cowardice or timidity, the slightest sign will ruin whatever charisma you had. And tied to that, being defensive or apologetic. Duke Ellington apparently was never defensive or apologetic about his appetite for women. That self-possession was part of his charm.
Right. Own it, whatever it is.
Seems to be the idea.
Okay, well, that brings our deep dive into the art of seduction, as presented in this source, to a close. It's clear this journey isn't just about, grand historical figures or complex romantic plots.
No, it's really about that intricate dance. Human influence, attention, desire. It plays out everywhere.
In every interaction, really. Whether you're trying to win over a crowd, a client, or, maybe just a new friend.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, these insights we've talked about, understanding needs, managing perceptions, orchestrating emotions, they aren't just for grand affairs.
Where else do you see them?
Well, think about your everyday social interactions.
Yeah.
Think about leadership styles, or even how brands capture public attention, their messaging, their imagery. It often uses these same principles.
That's a really interesting point. The psychology is transferable.
Very much so.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. Knowing these, profound psychological mechanisms of seduction, how might you become more attuned to the subtle ways influence is exerted all around you? And how might that understanding maybe empower you to navigate your own relationships, your own choices, with a new level of awareness? Maybe even intention, something to pay closer attention to in your daily life.
You might be surprised at what you start chasing.
Definitely food for thought.